This is the Amazon 1 month overview reading for the month of November 2024. It's currently October 14th, 2024, 2:22 p.m. Eastern Time. Amazon at the time of this reading is $187.84. That's USD. The shuffle video for the Amazon November reading was created on August 21st, 2024 at 5:01 p.m. Eastern Time. In this video, we're going to cover the overall trend direction for the month, as well as any important chart events that take place throughout the month. We're also going to cover the week-by-week chart behavior, timing of the peaks and troughs. Then we're going to get into a review of the previous month's reading to give you an idea of what our accuracy really is like. And we're going to give you one of the best trades that we see for the month. The timing, for the most part, is going to be on point to the day, but there will be some cases where the sequence of events, as outlined in the prediction, will remain accurate, but the day might be off plus or minus a day of wiggle room here or there. In other readings, you won't need to plus or minus wiggle room at all. Point being is that you want to follow the sequence of events as outlined by the prediction. When trading this information, you don't want to use price levels as your entry and exits. This is very important. You want to make sure that you're trading with entry and exits based on chart behavior and general timing, but look for the chart behavior. All of that in this video. Stay tuned to watch the review at the end. The overall theme and behavior for the month of November is a decline through multiple support levels. It's crossed with a notable rally on a multi-day scale that'll offer opportunity to close longs and open up short positions. So this could be a little bit mixed, and behavior around the highest high, we have a rally starting out of a decline going from the bottom of the range all the way to the top of the range, the top of the range being the high for the month. Behavior around the lowest low, a lot of volatility near the lows. Well, first off, before we get into the week-by-week chart behavior, I just want to point out this is a really strong cross-reading congruency. This is like a double cross-reading congruency. And what I mean by that, if you're new to SO Meta, when we look at the one-year reading, this is the November cluster. The high correlator card for the November cluster is the Princess of Cups. We have the Princess of Cups appearing very prominently here. It's also correlating to the high significator of the 1 month. And then on top of all that, the October readings preview card for November is the Princess of Cups as well. So it's a very important high. We also have the highest high significator for the year appearing in the reading, so implying that we may very well see the highest high for the year, at least thus far. And we'll look at that in more detail as we progress. Now, week by week, so in that first little bit, that last end of the prior month, it looks like we're kind of rallying out of a decline that started, a decline that took place on the last day of October. We moved to the upside, but kind of like price swinging to the upside on the first. All right, so it looks like we start off on Monday, we rally a little bit, creating an important peak, either on the 4th or the 5th, but probably on the 4th. And it's like an important peak, like a new high after maybe the lows that had formed. Right there on the cusp of the 4th, 5th is most likely where we have a prominent or high for the week, and we declined from that pretty notably, a sharp decline, unicursal type of decline, but then creating a trough, and then there's a rally back into a lower peak on the 6th where we rally and then a sideways rotation into the 7th, and then a lot of movement to the downside on the 7th into a trough for the week, and there's likely a big move. So the trough on the 6th, we rally into key resistance, then we turn around and we decline pretty notably into the 7th, into a trough towards the end of the day on the 7th, and then from there we have this notable move to the upside from the bottom of the range to the top of the range, either taking place at the end of the day on the 7th or continuing to the top of the range on the 8th. The 8th looks like a decline to and through support to meet another support, but if we do rally there, because that's an alternate, then I would say there's very likely, if we rally into the end of the day on the 8th, then very likely there's a sharp drop over the weekend into the second full week of November. As far as peaks and troughs in the second week, notable trough mid-Monday. A lot of erratic behavior as we enter into the mid part of the week, back and forth, back and forth. Midweek, a rally commences off of another trough and takes us to an overbought crest that we should then move to the downside. The crest probably taking place on the 14th, maybe the 15th. But either way, by the end of the week, we're probably moving downward. In the third week of the month, we start out declining into an important trough, likely on Tuesday, where there's an intentional fake out shakeout. Then there's a pump to the upside, taking us to another peak, probably taking place on the 21st or the 22nd or both. So we go from like this decline into a trough on Tuesday into a peak for the week towards the 21st or 22nd. In the fourth week of the month, start off from a peak, declining through multiple supports into midweek around the cusp of the 26th, 27th. We should see a notable move to the upside, likely taking us to another peak, either on the 26th or the 27th. And then it looks like another decline from a key resistance level on the 29th with an important trough there as well. Now, I'm going to give you one of the best trades that I see for the month of November. But before we do that, we're going to take a look at the October reading and see how the trades for that month went and how our accuracy was. Then we'll come back and we'll give you one of the best trades that we see for the month of November. So stick around for that. So this is an extremely accurate reading, guys. All right, so we had a peak and a trough taking place on the 1st, and there was a resistance level that we declined from and then returned to. That's the Princess of Swords, right? So it was a rally. There was also a trough here. I have it for the 2nd, ends up being on the 3rd, but very, very close. And like I always say, guys, on a 1 month reading, these cards are going left to right across the screen. They are what we call timeline cards. Each card represents about 1 day of time in the month of October, but not each card's energy will necessarily line up perfectly with 1 day of time. So it's important to understand that, and understand that it could be plus or minus a day here on some of the timing. the sequence of events as outlined by the prediction, the sequence of chart behavior, that is the most important, most accurate piece of the reading, what you should pay the most attention to. The timing is usually very, very on point, but there's cases, you have to be careful. So that would be pretty much on point. What do I mean, like the sequence of events remains the same? So we go from this prominent peak into a prominent trough on the first, then we go into another prominent, there's another prominent trough and lowest low thus far on the second, actually, which I do have there. And then we have this like rally on the second and into a sharp drop and a lowest low again, which I have for the second ends up being the third, but still really, really on point, because then what happens? We go into the fourth, we have a highest high thus far, and boom, you can see right there on the fourth, we have a highest high thus far. Oh my gosh, it does look like I missed this low here. They sometimes throw me off when they're on top of cards, but I did miss that lowest low there. That would have been a lowest, very strongly a lowest low there, but it did take us into highest highs again, right? I nailed that highest high on the 8th, 9th, and then again, a highest high thus far on the 11th, and then we have this pushing the upper end of a range higher on the 14th. However, we ended up moving to the downside. Very unlikely, guys. In the October reading, I probably have these as possible lowest lows, depending on what takes place, but I probably also mentioned that there's a chance that these aren't lowest lows and they're just prominent troughs, and based on where we are on the chart right now, pretty confident that the lows are behind us for the month, and these are going to end up being just prominent troughs on a multi-day scale. In either case, this looks pretty solid, and with that said, we should go into probably a higher price level here on the 16th, 17th as a highest high, maybe again on the 21st. So this looks pretty solid, guys, aside from just missing that one low. And I mean, we weren't off very much, it's pretty close to this level as well, which we had as a lowest low. So, not perfect, but somewhere in the 90s, definitely. As far as the best trades, okay, so right here on the first, I would have advised a key resistance, and we have it kind of marked here in the purple line, key resistance that we would decline from and then return to. And you can see we either return to it on the first itself, or the very next day we return to it, or the next day we return to it, and that worked out. So in the midst of a decline from that resistance, I advise opening up a long position that you would then close in the midst of when we revisit the resistance level that the decline started from. That's the only trade that I really would have advised on thus far based on the 1 month. There's another one coming up here around the 21st, 22nd. So if you got the monthly access subscription on our website, Tarot for Traders, then you'll be up to date by getting those live Discord trade alerts and live updated trading view charts where we draw the expected entry and exit points on the chart. Overall, pretty solid. The trade was definitely right on point. If you're interested in the monthly access subscription, stay tuned at the end of the video. I'll show you how to get that. One of the best trades that I see for the month of November, I'm going to give you the chart behavior leading up to the entry point. The entry point being on the 6th, the exit being on most likely the 7th, if not the 7th, then on the 8th. And there's a couple other, backup exits, which I like to have. You can only plan backup exits with SO meta analysis. You can't do that with technical analysis. People be like, backup exit? What do you mean? What I mean is that if my exit is off or wrong, it doesn't end up being as expected, which, guys, it happens sometimes. I'm not 100%. If I'm wrong on that first one, then there's another exit in the not too distant future after it, maybe even another exit in the not too distant future after that. So it's like rarely would I don't think I've ever been wrong on all exits if I give multiple exits, so it's a really, really safe way to trade. But remember, you want to trade responsibly. You never want to trade like I'm right all the time, because when you trade like I'm right all the time, that'll be the time I'm wrong. Don't do it. There's no rush. We're right on average 95% of the time. So just bet responsibly regularly and you'll do phenomenal without stress. All right, so the chart behavior leading up to the entry point on the 6th, around the 1st, we should have very likely out of a trough, probably open lower, and there's a notable move to the upside. A lot of price change covered into a peak on the cusp of the 4th, 5th. And then a decline, pretty sharp decline there on the beginning of the 5th, that then turns into a rally and ending the decline. The rally takes us into a resistance level on a multi-day scale, where usually we abruptly turn around and move to the downside, but it does look like there's some sideways rotation at that peak there on the 6th. Very unlikely that it'll be the same price level or that it'll be as high as the high here on the 4th, but either way, this is the entry. When you see that, we rally into that key resistance and we like temporarily turn it into support by rotating sideways. That's where you'd enter into a short position. This is actually 2 trades, right? So you would enter into a short position there. I would probably do a partial, and then if on the 7th for any reason we start off higher, I would add to it. Add to the short position, but doubtful that we would do that on the 7th. So I would open up like 50% of a position here when we're rotating sideways, and then we'll decline eventually back down through that price level to the bottom of a range here towards the end of the day on the 7th. That's where you would close the short position, and then very likely you could do a day trade or an overnight swing trade into the following day, where when you close that short position, probably there'll be sideways rotation there, or it's straight out of a decline, a big move from the bottom range to the top of the range. Either way, it'll be an important trough, not necessarily a low for the week, but it'll really stand out there towards the end of the day on the 7th. I would open up a long when closing the short, and close the long either at the end of the day. If we move significantly to the upside on the 7th, I would cash out there, but more likely what will happen is I'll end up cashing out here on the 8th. So for the second trade, first exit on the 7th, second exit on the 8th. I don't foresee you needing to wait, but another exit would be towards the later part of this week. And again, if it gets to that, my live Discord trade alerts and updated trading view charts will keep keep you guided on that. The exits for the first trade, the short position into this, if this ends up failing as an exit point there at the end of the day on the 7th for the short position, I would say the backup exit is going to be midday on the 11th. And I would say that's the backup exit is there on the 11th. There isn't really a clear one after that. So if this does end up failing the short position on the 11th, most likely we would get out at a loss. Rarely does that happen, but that's the backup. For the rest of the trades, as well as the timing of the highest high for the month and the lowest low for the month, that's something that you get in the monthly access version of this video and all monthly access videos. You get the highest high and the lowest low timing to the day, which we're usually right, not always right. And then you get all of the best trades that we see for the month. If you're interested in getting that, guys, it's a great way to support the channel. The way that you get that, you go to our website, tarotfortraders.com, hover over order now, and it's right here, monthly access, right in the middle. Subscribe, $300 a month, and that's super undervalued. I mean, you saw the trades that I showed you. The October reading was created August 20th, 2024, guys. You know, I mean, this is really, really solid stuff. As far as the tickers, Apple, Amazon, Bitcoin, Gold, Google, Meta, Nvidia, Theta Network, Tesla, Shibcoin, Solana, and XRP, as well as oil, most likely USO is what we cover, and the VIX. All of that, guys, as part of monthly access, a ton of different trades going on, the majority of which are pretty solid. Thanks to everybody that goes ahead and does that, and get excited because this is like how you step it up a notch as far as ESO meta analysis. It's a game changer. All right, my friends, thank you so much for watching. As always, make sure to follow that rule of karma. Blessings to all my angel investors. I will see you guys on the next one.